Well, thank you for joining us at this hour. I'm Daniel Che here to bring you the latest. We have more missiles firing by North Korea. We have this Sunday, the reclusive regime fired 2 short-range missiles into the East Sea, its second launch in just 4 days. A move seen as an armed protest against U.S. South Korea military drills expected to begin on Wednesday. Here's our Kwon Soa with this report.
North Korea fired 2 short-range ballistic missiles into the East Sea on Sunday, one at 1:20 a.m. and another at 1:30. This is its second launch in just 4 days. South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff believes the rockets to be Scud-C missiles, given they flew a distance of around 500 kilometers, which is the Scud-C's estimated operational range. The missiles were launched from the northern part of Kaesong City, just 20 kilometers from the border with the south. Usually, the North conducts missile launches from its eastern port city of Wonsan, around 130 kilometers from the military demarcation line. A Joint Chiefs of Staff official said Sunday that the launch took place 20 kilometers closer to the south than the Wednesday launch, adding that a test firing so close to the border is unprecedented. The South Korean military believes that Pyongyang wants to display its ability to launch projectiles whenever and wherever it wants to. The latest test firing is seen as an armed protest against annual U.S. South-Korea joint military exercises scheduled to take place beginning Wednesday. Pyongyang's National Defense Commission condemned the drills in a statement Saturday as the USS George Washington aircraft carrier arrived in the southern port city of Busan on Friday for the drills. Experts also believe the provocations come from concerns about the latest South Korea-China summit, as well as the recent U.S.-China business talks. Sunday's firings mark the 14th time North Korea has launched rockets in 2014, and it is the 6th ballistic missile launch this year. Kwon Soa, ARIRANG News.
Staying with that story, Japan has launched a protest to Sunday's launch, saying it was a complete violation of UN Security Council resolutions banning North Korea from launching ballistic missiles. Chief Cabinet Secretary Yoshihide Suga said the complaint was filed against North Korea through the Japanese embassy in Beijing immediately after the Japanese Defense Ministry reported on the event. According to Kyodo News Agency, Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said Sunday's launch would not affect ongoing discussions on North Korea's past abductions of Japanese citizens. Pyongyang recently promised to reinvestigate the issue, and in exchange, Tokyo agreed to lift some sanctions on the North. The South Korean government has given officials of a business consortium the nod of approval to travel to North Korea for a project that involves the 2 Koreas and Russia. The Unification Ministry said Sunday a team of 38 government officials and representatives from the consortium comprising 3 South Korean companies will visit the North on Tuesday. The group is there for a week-long feasibility study on the so-called Rajin-Gasan logistics project. The project, closely linked to South Korean President Park Geun-hye's Eurasian initiative, is designed to make the North Korean northeastern port city of Rajin a logistics hub by linking it to Russia's Trans-Siberian Railway. This will be the second on-site inspection since February. Any trip to the north requires Seoul's approval as well as the consent of Pyongyang, as the 2 Koreas are technically in a state of armistice since Korean War ended in a truce, not a peace treaty. The confession of a Japanese war criminal who says he killed 831 Chinese people during World War II is the latest in a series of similar documents released by China this month. China's State Archives Administration posted the confessions of Keiji Saganaka on Sunday, in which he says he killed the people by burning, shooting, and starving them. His confession also says that he raped more than 30 Chinese women. China has been posting one confession per day of 45 convicted Japanese war criminals since early this month, in an attempt to highlight Japan's wartime atrocities amid disputes with the country over history and territory. The document has also been translated into English, reflecting China's efforts to reach Western audiences. Meanwhile, back in Korea, the search for people still missing from the sunken Sewol ferry resumed on Sunday following the passage of Typhoon Naguri. Unfortunately, no bodies have been retrieved from the submerged hull. The Korean government's crisis center said civilian, military, and Coast Guard divers conducted 4 underwater search operations for the missing early Sunday morning. 110 Navy, Coast Guard, and fishing boats were mobilized in an effort to expand the search to the waters around the site for any bodies that might have been swept away from the ship. 11 people remain unaccounted for in the April 16th sinking of the Sewol ferry. 293 are confirmed dead. The last time a body was recovered was back in June 24th. In politics, the ruling Saenuri Party selects a new chairperson and 4 members of its Supreme Council at a party convention Monday. Voting began at 9 a.m. this Sunday at 251 polling stations nationwide and ends on Monday. The winners will be chosen via a combination of votes and a public opinion poll, with the votes making up 70% of the result and the poll accounting for the remaining 30%. 9 candidates are running for the chairperson post, and the 2 leading candidates, Kim Bu-sung and Seo Chung-won, each held press briefings Sunday, with both vowing to claim victory. Meanwhile, candidates for the July 30th by-elections have begun to gear up for the start of the official campaign period on July 17th, the first weekend after candidate registration ended Friday. Korea's global GDP ranking remained flat at 14th place. We are stuck there for the 5th straight year in 2013, reflecting the nation's slow growth trend. Our Hwang Ji-hye has the details.
The Korean economy seems like it has been losing its dynamism since the global financial crisis in 2008. The Bank of Korea said Sunday that the global ranking of the nation's gross domestic product remained unchanged at 14th place in 2013 for a 5th straight year. Korea's GDP stood at around $1.3 trillion last year. That's based on new international standards for calculating gross domestic product that involve adding contributions from new sectors like research and development. Experts say the nation's slow growth trend after the global financial crisis led the nation's ranking to stay flat. Asia's 4th largest economy ranked at 12th in 2000 and managed to climb up to 10th in 2005, but it lost ground, landing in 14th in 2009 after the global economic crisis and has remained the same since then. The United States topped the list at almost $17 trillion last year, followed by China with $9.2 trillion and Japan with $4.9 trillion. Countries that have seen their rankings drop over the past 5 years include Japan and European countries like Italy and Spain that were hit hard by the sovereign debt crisis. Hwang Ji-hye, ARIRANG News.
And the proportion of young people in Korea has dropped to its lowest level ever, and most of them are not happy with the education system. Our Son Jung-in takes a look at the current situation of the youth population in South Korea.
1 in 5 Koreans is young, a reference to people between the ages of 9 and 24 as defined by Korean law. The youth population in Korea has been on the decline since it peaked at 37% in the late 1970s, and it dropped to its lowest level this year, according to recent data by Statistics Korea. What's more worrisome is that the rate is expected to fall even further to 16% in 2020 and to only 11% in 2060. However, despite the declining youth population, competition among students for grades and spots at elite schools still remains high. The data show that nearly 70% of Korean primary and secondary school students are dependent on private education to supplement their school classes. By age, elementary school students receive the most additional tutoring at more than 80%, followed by middle school and high school students. Perhaps this is a reason why far less than half of secondary school students feel satisfied with their school life. They find relationships with classmates as some of the positive factors at school, but most of them said they are displeased with the current education system. Another sad statistic is that 10 years ago, the biggest cause of death among young people was car accidents. Now it is suicide. According to the report, 1 in 10 young Koreans said they have actually thought about committing suicide, with the main reasons being school grades, family troubles, and financial problems. 손정인, 아리랑 뉴스.
Moving on, outside of Korea, Israel has called on residents of the northern Gaza Strip to evacuate, suggesting another attack is imminent. This after Israel's naval commandos on Sunday launched a brief raid on a site it said was used by Palestinian militants to fire about 90 rockets from the Gaza Strip into Israel the day before. Israel on Saturday night had carried out overnight airstrikes against Gaza's security headquarters and police station in the heaviest bombardment since operations began back in July 8th. Gaza officials say that at least 159 Palestinians have died in the airstrikes so far. Though Israel says it is targeting Hamas militants and facilities, the UN estimates that 77% of those killed in Gaza have been civilians. The UN Security Council issued a statement Saturday calling for a ceasefire and peace talks, marking the first time the UN has stepped in since the Israeli offensive began. Well, for a country that eats, sleeps, breathes football or soccer, this is not a great year. Brazil's World Cup ended on a low note as they yielded third place in this year's World Cup to Team Netherlands. It was looked to as a chance for home team Brazil to redeem itself after a humiliating 7-1 trouncing at the hands of the German squad. Unfortunately, in the third-place playoff against the Orange, their only solace was in the fact that they didn't allow more than 3 goals. Brazil's captain and defensive stopper Thiago Silva tugged Arjen Robben down in the second minute, drawing a penalty and setting Captain Robin van Persie up to score from the penalty spot just 3 minutes into the game. In the 17th, Dali Blind broke the hearts of home fans with another Nat Scorcher, and Jorginho Wijnaldum sealed the deal with a third goal. Soccer fans in Korea are likely to have a sleepless Sunday night with the final match between Argentina and Germany coming up at 4 a.m. Monday Korea time. Argentina may have the world's most recognized and celebrated star in Lionel Messi, but Germany is a well-oiled football machine this season and has been playing like a team possessed in this World Cup. And now the weather, not the best time of the year in Korea unless you're heading for a dip in the pool or out to the beach. The sizzling 30 degrees Celsius summer conditions are set to continue through Monday. Let's check out the weather conditions in your neck of the woods and around the world. That does it for me. Thank you for staying with us. Do have a great start to your week.